Okay, so
The GoPro Hero 10. I got this about a month or so ago, and then about 2 weeks later, the GoPro Hero 11 came out. And let's talk about whether that was a bad idea. Now, if you've somehow gone this far without knowing what a GoPro is, it's an action camera, so it's a small, portable and durable camera that can sort of go in any situations that maybe a mirrorless camera like this would not be able to go in. Now, all the newer GoPros are fully waterproof and shockproof and everything like that. Like, they just come in as the camera, and you can take this, you can dunk this underwater, or how I used it in the snow. All the GoPros had a case sort of like this to use them underwater. This isn't an actual GoPro, but it's the same sort of thing. And the way that I've mostly used this so far is like sort of POV sort of stuff, where I'll put it on a chest mount and have it here doing the photography videos that I've done. The first few were on this older one, and then I haven't yet posted any with this one, but the vlog from New Zealand had a bit of footage from this on it. And then in the future, I'm going to be using this for those POV photography videos or anything else where I want sort of a point of view shot that would be too hard to get with my mirrorless camera. So this has video, photo, and time-lapse modes. There's a lot of settings to change within all of the modes. For example, you can change the lens, which is the zoom of it. You can go to a what they call super view, which is very wide. They say is equivalent to like a 16mm. And then you can go all the way into their narrow, which they say is equivalent to about a 27mm. You can also change the frame rate. Now, the GoPro Hero 10 can do frame rates of 24, 30, 60, 120, and 240 frames per second. 240 is limited to 2.7K resolution. I'll talk about resolutions in a sec. So you cannot do 240 FPS in 4K or higher. Now, speaking of resolutions, you can do 1080p 2.7K, which would be roughly halfway between 1080p and 4K. You have 4K and you have 5.3K. And with 5.3K and 4K, you can also do 4:3 aspect ratio, which would then use the entire sensor, because the sensor is 4:3 and not just a 16:9. So that's good for if you want a little bit more space to crop in your edit, like I've done before, because if I don't know if I'm going to be in or out of frame vertically, if you shoot in that 4:3, you can just crop, you know, the bottom out, the top out, or move it if you need to, whenever you do. It also has quite a few stabilization modes, and GoPros are known to have pretty good stabilization. They've got their Hyper Smooth 4.0 in the 10, and in the 11 they actually have their 5.0. And this camera also has a horizon leveling mode, which uses its linear lens, which is meant to sort of mimic what we would see in the real world. But what's pretty nice about it is you can then have it, let's say it's mounted, or even if you're just carrying it, and if you tilt it, it'll keep I'll even record this and put this footage in. As I tilt it, it stays straight. It'll go a few degrees either way and it's fine. But then when you get to a certain point, it'll sort of lock to the next one, or it'll actually fully unlock like it did there. And that's one big change with the GoPro Hero 11, is that actually works entirely all the way around, and it'll keep the horizon locked no matter what, which I feel like is much more useful than having just this that'll deal with those little minute sort of changes in angle, which is great, it's very helpful, but being able to fully rotate the camera upside down and all the way back, no matter which way it's going, it stays upright. That feels like a very good feature to have. When it comes to battery life, I actually did get this with the Enduro batteries, which are the white ones, which do actually come in the GoPro Hero 11. So if you get an 11, you'll get these batteries with it. My Hero 10 came with one of these regular blue batteries, whereas the Enduros, which I got separately, I got a 2-pack with this charger. I bought the dual charge, which comes with 2 Enduros. And the Enduro batteries are, not only are they meant to last longer, as the name would imply, but they're also meant to deal better with heat and cold, which is helpful because most of the use that I've got out of this so far was in the snow in Queenstown. When it comes to battery life on the Hero 10 with the Enduro batteries, I noticed it was pretty good. Like when I was snowboarding, I wasn't filming every run, so it was not on the entire time, but I did have it on, you know, a fair bit of the day. I was recording, you know, a dozen runs, which are like 3 to 6 minutes each sort of thing, depending on the run. And I was going through really only one battery a day. Now, if I was just recording the entire day, it probably would have only lasted a few hours, if that, with 2 Enduro batteries and 1 regular one. But the way I was using it, I could have just taken 1 battery and been like, yep, that's fine. Like, I've got enough footage. I don't really need any more. But having the 3 was plenty for what I was doing. And that was in the cold as well. Now, GoPros are also somewhat prone to overheating, especially if they're left in one place. For example, if you put it on a tripod and you just leave it there outside where it doesn't move, there's no wind if it's a hot day, or if you leave it like inside on a hot day and there's no air conditioning or something like that, then they are prone to overheat. There are modes in the 10 where you can set it to tripod mode, which will turn everything that isn't necessary off to deal with that load. But in the things that I have seen about overheating on GoPros, as long as it's moving and there's air moving past it, it's usually okay. And of course, overheating is really going to be more of an issue at higher resolutions and frame rates. So if you're shooting 1080p 24, it's probably not going to be an issue. And just a quick tour of the GoPro Hero 10. On the top, you have your shutter button. On the front, obviously, is the lens, and you also have this like square screen, so it won't show the entire image, but it will. It can actually. You can change the settings a little bit, so you can either show a cropped off full height image and just cropped off the sides, or you can have the full image on there where it just has black bars on the top and bottom. It'll also tell you if it's recording and what are the settings and the battery and stuff like that. On the back, you have a touch screen, which again will show you all that information, but it is touchscreen, so you can go into change all the settings, go into any of the menus like that. And on the side, you have your power and mode button. If you single tap, it'll cycle between video, photo, and time lapse, and holding it will turn the camera off. On the bottom, you have the mounting, they call them fingers. So what's actually really nice about these newer ones is they're magnetic and they fold in, so you can just fold them out and then you put them in a mount like this. They just slot in, and then you put that screw through it, and it's mounted to whatever it's mounted to. But then once you take it out, you flip it back down and you don't need to remove anything, it's just there. And then on the other side, the opposite side of the power button, you have this door. It is meant to be waterproof, so it's like reasonably solid to like open and close. You have your battery and your SD card. You also have a USB port, so you can then plug it into a computer. You can not only charge it, you could power it. So if you take the battery out and plug it in, you could actually power it off a power bank or a larger battery or your computer or something like that. It is recommended to remove the battery if you do that, because then you can run into overheating issues. But if you remove the battery, it shouldn't overheat. You also have your SD card slot, which is a micro SD card. I currently have a 128 gigabyte V30 card in there. It comes with a 32 gig and you can upgrade to a 64, but I had a bit of a look, and to get a 128 is actually not that much more expensive to get the 64 with it. So I just kept the free 32 gig one and just bought a 128 gig separately. And according to what it tells me on here, I can get around 4 hours of 4K recording on a 128 gigabyte card. The USB port as well can, as I mentioned, you can plug it into a computer and it'll just seamlessly work as a webcam if you download their webcam app. You can't open the app, you just need to have it and then it'll just work. So I can use this, and I have set this up in OBS, and I can use it as a webcam. If I'm ever doing any unboxings or anything like that on stream, second camera right here should be pretty solid until I get a second mirrorless camera. Now, that's enough about the Hero 10. Let's have a quick chat about the Hero 11, which I don't have. Now, the big differences between the 10 and the 11 are not physical. Like, you can't, like, they look the same. The only difference between the cameras, if you look at them, is the number on the side. That's the only difference. Internally though, they're slightly different. The Hero 10 has a 4x3 sensor, as I mentioned before, whereas the Hero 11 has a 8x7 sensor. So it's actually the same sensor, just a little bit taller. And they've advertised this as a way to better edit vertical video. So you can take the same footage and take vertical or horizontal footage out of that depending on how you crop it. Now that's very helpful, particularly in this day and age. You can do that with 4x3, but it's just a little bit easier with that taller sensor. It's almost square, you know, it's 8x7. So you're getting close to a square sensor there. Now, of course, you don't have to record in that 8x7 format. You can still record in 16:9 and probably 4:3 as well. But just having the option to record in 8x7, not only from an editing standpoint, but also for, you know, if you have whatever your subject is moving, you know, up and down, you want to make sure it's in frame. It'll be easier to keep it in frame if the frame is bigger. Now, like I mentioned before, the horizon leveling feature on the 11 is much better. You can turn it fully upside down and it'll keep vertical. It just locks on the entire way like this. Now, this is what the horizon leveling looks like on the Hero 10 as I spin it all the way around. And on the 11, it just locks on and it's fine. Like, I don't have an 11 to show you, obviously. Trust me when I say that it doesn't do that. The other big feature of the Hero 11 that a lot of people are talking about, particularly in that like higher level video creator, when it comes to YouTubers and stuff like that, is 10-bit color. This does not have 10-bit color. The Hero 11 does, which means you can have a lot more freedom when editing, particularly the colors when you're color grading the footage. Now, if you're just anybody that's just like, oh, I'll just film some stuff with my GoPro and then chuck it up on Instagram and that's about it. Like, you don't really need 10-bit color. I don't really need 10-bit color at this point. But if you are in that sort of, you really want to edit that footage to make it look good, if you want to match it to another camera, for example, or just proper color grade, then that 10-bit color is really going to be necessary for that type of person. Now, was it a mistake to buy this instead of waiting a couple weeks to get the 11? And I don't think so. The reason that I got this when I did is just because I knew I was gonna get one at some point and I was going on this trip. So I was like, I didn't want to just have this because I knew this would last like 20 minutes in the cold and then that was it. So I was like, might as well get the actual GoPro, take it on that trip, use it there, and then use it for what I planned on using it for afterwards. Now, I don't think I would really benefit much from the 11. Obviously, new gear is always fun. And you know, those few features that I mentioned, the horizon leveling would be good because you can do that on this if you get the max lens mod, which I don't have any of the mods, but apparently the 11 can just do it on its own. The 10-bit color, not a huge deal for me. Like, I don't do that much color grading at the moment anyway. Maybe as I go and I get more into that sort of area of this whole video production thing, then yes, maybe I'll want more features when it comes to color. But at the moment, it's not really that big of a deal for me. And with the bigger sensor, like, yeah, it would be nice, but it's not that big of a difference. So I'm gonna say what most people have said about the reviews comparing this to the 10. If you already have a 10 and you don't really care about 10-bit color, it's not that big of a deal. If you don't have a 10 and you're maybe a couple generations back, or you are just getting GoPro for the first time, yeah, why not go for the 11? It's probably, there's not that big of a price difference, so it's generally just best to get the newest one anyway, unless you really can't afford to get the newest one, you want to get a couple generations back. So that'll be all for this video. Let me know your thoughts about the GoPro Hero 10 and 11 in the comments, and anything that you might want to see with this camera in the future. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. That is all.